children, after understanding what are the methods to increase and decrease the friction, next we shall study that, or we shall know that these wheels reduces the friction. How does the wheel reduce the friction? We spoke or discussed on the tires. Don't get confused between the tires and the wheels here. So tires, the structure or the shape of the tires, what you see, the smooth, it doesn't have a smooth surface, it has rough surface. And you can see the big JCBs, bulldozers, wheels and all. If you see children, will they make smooth the tire? No, it will be very huge and with grooves upon it in order to increase the friction. So here we are talking about the wheels. How can you say wheel reduces the friction is the question what you get. The best example or activity what I tell you to do is, children, just take one book. Just slide it on the table or on the floor. Just push it on smoothly. So it will move a certain distance and come to rest. Now next what you do is take 2 to 3 pencils. Keep it, align them neatly on the floor. Place a book, the same book what you did in the first case. Keep the same book and push it. What do you see is again the book will move, but along with the pencil also rolls. Is it not? The pencil also rolls along with the book. So now compared to the distance in the first case, in the second case, that is when the book was placed on the pencils and then slided, the distance covered by the book was more, children. If you have doubt, you can do that activity and check. So what do we understand here is the wheels will reduce the friction. Why do you think in the first case when you just slided the book didn't move for longer distance compared to when you put the book keeping on the pencils? It is because, children, something stopped the motion of the book very fast there. What do you think it did? The frictional force between the book and the floor, of course, or the table on which you slided, brought the book to rest. Why? Because there is a frictional force present between the book and the surface of the floor or the table. But when you place the same book on the pencils and roll it, children, the frictional force is reduced so that the book will move for the longer distance. Hence they say wheel reduces the friction. One more example what we can consider is the trolleys. You all know the trolley. While traveling we take it. Yes, but in the previous in the years, children, what we used to do is carry heavy kit bags, suitcases. It was very heavy to carry, especially for the kids and the old people. If they are traveling for many days, then heavy luggage will be there. They have to put here, hold on head, so heavy for them. Or they should take help of other people in order to carry the luggage. But nowadays it is so easy. Why? Because of trolleys. What do you think? So if you just keep the suitcase and push, it is difficult for you. Why? Because the friction is more due to the heavy weight of the suitcase or the kit what you are pulling, as well as the between the floor, the friction is more, and as well as the kit or the suitcase bag is very heavy. The luggage is heavy. But now what you do is just attach the wheels to the bottom of the suitcase or the kit bags. What you get now are the trolleys. So now with the help of handle, easily you can slide the luggage, isn't it? So why here the wheels is reducing the friction. Even though so heavy luggage you have, with the help of trolleys easily you can pull it. Even the kids or the old people can also move the heavy luggage easily when the wheels are attached to those luggages, children. That is the trolley. So these examples say that the wheels reduce friction. Even in the ball bearings are used. That is also one more important. You have seen the ball bearings, no? So in all these examples we see that the wheels are reducing the friction. The wheels are reducing the friction. Next we shall know about this fluid friction. We know what is air and wind, or yes, air and water we know. It is naturally available. So air, easily when less force of air is present, you can easily walk everywhere. Suppose a heavy wind is coming towards you, and if you are trying to go in the same direction, the wind is coming towards my face and I am trying to move, means the air will oppose my motion. It will stop me. The force of the pressure of the air will try to stop me from moving. It is nothing but the air is applying the frictional force on you. Similarly, the water also will apply the frictional force, children. You might have experienced the water. You cannot just walk against the water. Try walking in swimming pool and try walking. Now, if you tell me to walk, yes, I can walk easily. Similarly, if I am standing in the swimming pool and try to walk, I cannot walk that fast as I did now. Why? Because the water is applying force on me. The frictional force is applied by the water as well as air upon us. So, in science, the combination of this water and the air together is called nothing but as the fluid, children. So, what is a fluid? It is the mixture of air and water. So, the fluid also reduces the fluid also apply the friction upon the objects which are moving. So air is light and thin. Though air is light and thin, but still it exerts for frictional force on the objects moving. Similarly, water and other liquids also exerts the force of friction. So the term air and water, the mixture of air and water together is called the fluid. Now you know many aquatic plants, aquatic animals like maybe the fish or any other aquatic animals. So when it is not, they are moving inside the water. So the water in turn is exerting the force upon those aquatic animals as well. So together fluid exerts the friction. That is what? That is the air and water. The mixture together is called fluid, and fluid exerts the pressure, children. So, this how to reduce now. To reduce the friction, we learned many methods, and wheels are also one of the example to reduce the friction. But how about this fluid friction? How can we reduce the frictional force applied on us or on the objects by this fluid, that is mixture of water and air? Is this friction? It depends upon the nature of the object, the shape of the object as well. This you should keep in mind in order to explain this. The frictional force acting on an object, the frictional force always depends on the shape of the object and nature of the object or nature of the fluid as well, children. So how do you think the aeroplanes were discovered? Aeroplanes in the sense, with this shape only the aeroplane should be, this shape only the parachute should be. How did they decide? Of course, with the help of nature. How with the help of nature? You can see the birds flying high up in the air. So, the wings of the birds, through this they got the idea that the wings, the shape of the wings especially matters in order to reduce the friction applied by the air or the fluid in general. So they made the wings of the aeroplane and the shape of the aeroplane in similar to that of the shape of a bird and its wings in order to reduce this air friction, and when you move smoothly high up in the air. The aeroplanes and helicopters fly high up in the air. So there will be the frictional force present there. The fluid friction or the friction force applied by the air is present high up in the air. How to reduce it means, the birds gave them the idea. The shape of the birds and its wings, which helps it in reducing the air friction and move high even though heavy wind is there. That gave them the thought or the idea that if at all we design the aeroplanes or the helicopters in this shape, then it can avoid the friction force applied and move smoothly. So these are the few things about the friction, children. So first we learned what is friction, what is frictional force, and in daily life where are we experiencing this frictional force we learned, and also how the friction is a gift and as well as it is an evil to us we discussed. In today's session we discussed how to increase the friction, decrease the friction, and what are the materials which are used in order to increase or decrease the friction, what is the lubricant, and how wheels helps in reducing the friction. Finally we learned what is this fluid friction, what is the fluid, how this fluid friction can be reduced. All that we have discussed, children. So with this we have come to the end of the lesson, friction. So this is very interesting, small chapter, children. So what I want you all to do is please go through the textbook once And here the examples, try to give your own examples of increasing the friction or reducing friction, all that children. So this you can do by understanding the lesson and by reading the textbook. Shortly I will be sending you the notes on this lesson. Please complete it, and you have this chapter also for your coming SA1 children. So